Welcome back to the news today. This is One-on-One. Nearly 2 weeks have passed since the attack in Paris on the Charlie Hebdo satirical paper and the kosher supermarket. And although a historic solidarity rally took place a couple of days later, it will be hard to ease tensions between the Muslim communities and others across Western Europe. Dr. Samir Ben Layashi, an expert on North African history and a member of the European Research Council, joins me tonight to understand what will happen in the next maybe few weeks, few months in Paris. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
So, during the last, let's say, 2 weeks, we tried to understand what exactly happened in Paris, what exactly happened in France, what is happening in Europe, and the integration of the minorities, especially the Muslim communities there. And some people try to excuse like what happened in saying that the minorities had problems in being and feeling part of the community that they are in the Western countries. Is it so? Is it part of the problem? Can we excuse that? And can we give excuses to this kind of behavior with the problems that minorities are facing in Europe?
No, first of all, everybody condemns what happened. There is a condemnation about what happened, about the killing, about the massacre of the journalists in their office. Full stop. Having said that, we have to investigate or to understand or to study the context in which this massacre took place. The social context, I will say. By the social context, I mean where these guys who killed, the killers, where they come from, where they have studied, in which families they lived, what their parents was doing to make a living, how they integrated the society or didn't integrate society. The French have, or today, I mean the French society, but not only the French society, the French state has to ask this question. And to ask the question, which means to know where the French, the republicanism has failed. You know, what they teach the kids in the school. They have to, all these terms, republicanism, liberté, fraternité, they don't say much to the kids who lived in Muslim families.
So if we want to understand exactly what happened to the minorities, what happened to France in the last few weeks, usually we used to say about, terrorists are coming from failed countries, from countries that don't have any education, that have problems with the economy. But when the new profile is talking about someone who's coming from the West, who went to Western schools, who went to Western universities, we are seeing that the new generation of terrorists in ISIS is basically this European cool guy that is trying to find an identity. So how can I identify these new terrorists or new generation of terrorists now in Paris or the European countries?
The new generation of terrorists is born in Europe. They are European. And either we are speaking about the Europeans who are originally from the Arab Muslim world, or the Europeans who are white and Christian. So right now you find terrorists in both sides. But let's speak about the terrorists, or the people supposed to be terrorists, I mean the potentially terrorists, who are coming from a Muslim background. In these people I'm interested. These people, I am interested in them as a phenomenon because they are actually divided between two kinds of discourse. One discourse at home, what I have called somewhere else a homey narrative, or let's call it a homey discourse, and the official discourse of the state and of the street. The official discourse in the public spheres. The people, their parents at home, they don't speak in the same language like the like in school or in street. There is kind of clash between these two discourses. And here, you know, I don't mean that these parents, the Muslim parents, teach them terrorism at home, but they speak to them about, let's say, Muhammad, about the Islamic glory, the Islamic history. They speak about all these events in terms like if it happened yesterday.
Where did it exactly start? It started with the parents that came to look for a different future and came to look for something else and found themselves being treated in the European society as the Algerian, as the Tunisian, as the Moroccan Muslim, being treated as a minority, or it started with this young generation that couldn't integrate enough? Where did it start? Did it start already with the parents?
I think it started with the parents. The parents came, they ran away from poverty, from lack of education at home. They come from an ex-colonies, one should remember. They don't come from rich countries, but they come from countries which were colonized by France. They come to the colonizer, to the metropole, what we call the metropole. So they come to look for a better future. And then once they are in France, the French were interested only in their labor force. They were not interested in them as a human being. These people came to work. They put them in kind of a suburb, what they call in France, cité, kind of ghetto. And they lived them there. Of course, these people gain more money than they used to be at home. They had social welfare. They have health security and so on. But people need more than that. They need an identity. They need an identity of belonging to the place where they live.
So what is the difference between what passed on the Muslim community and what passed on the Jewish community? Because it seems that the Jewish community did integrate. It seems that the Jewish minority did find its place in the European society, but the Muslim minority didn't. What is the differences between these two?
Okay, here you have to be careful not to fall in the trap of essentialism, and by saying that, which means I don't want to say that the Jews succeed or integrated the French society because they are clever than the Muslims. The problem is, or here I wouldn't say problem, but the explanation is the explanation that the Jews who left North Africa and came to France came with a minimum of education, especially from the cities. The immigration from North Africa, it's not the elite don't immigrate. The elites, North African elites, they don't immigrate. They don't go to look for work. They go to study in France and come back to govern or come back to handle their parents' business. The Jews, North African Jews who left North Africa, either they came here to Israel or they went to France and stayed. They didn't look back to their country. The problem of North Africans, they have always this position of looking back to their country while they are in Paris. So it stopped them from being completely French. But we have to know that today in 2014, nobody asks you to be 100% French. You can be French and something else. And here, I think the French state and the French education system should adapt themselves to a new French people who are in France, but with their heart and mind somewhere else.
Dr. Ben Layashi, thank you very, very much for this really, really interesting conversation. I wish I had more time with you to explore more about this subject, but we will have you again. Thank you very, very much for coming, and thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place, from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have a great night.